Who of all the guests, the most training intensity or the strongest who's ever walked through the doors?
Probably Branch Warren at the old Ultimate Fitness. I think it was 2015, so he was still competing.
Final year, right?
I think it was final year, but he was training with Richie Gaspari, and they were training back, if I remember rightly, and they were proper going for it. I mean, we've all seen the Branch Warren, Johnny Jackson videos at Metroflex when he starts to smashing the weights, and he was actually doing that at the old gym, and I was like, he's going to break my equipment. It was like, I was cringing, he's going to snap a cable or snap one of the chains. But they were properly going for it, and training with Rich Gaspari the week. Rich still trains like that now, he still trains like a madman. I know Branch has probably taken it a bit easier, but I'd say watching the intensity of Branch Warren and Richie Gaspari was sort of something you sort of had to like, you could feel the energy in the gym. It was like, we ramped up the music, we put like some Disturbed on, and the energy was crazy. So I'd say Branch Warren, watching him train as he was competing, probably was a sight to see.
Alongside running a gym, one thing you do know how to do is put on a bodybuilding show. So let's take it back to the British Grand Prix. How did it come about?
Well, I'd been to the British Grand Prix since I was a teenager, we're going back to the 90s. Actually, my first British Grand Prix was 1990, and it had, if I remember rightly, Mohammed Benaziza won that, Gary Stridham got second. So a lot of these people that are watching this video will have to Google these names, but they were sort of the big names back in the 90s, especially Mohammed Benaziza and Gary Stridham. Gary Stridham was probably one of my all-time favourite bodybuilders. So that was in Nottingham every year. Then later moved to Manchester. Then he went to London. But the last British Grand Prix held by Dorian and Kerry Towes, I think it was 2005. That was Wembley. And after that, they stopped doing the British Grand Prix. And in 2010, Neil Hill and Zach Khan, they decided to put on the British Grand Prix. And I'd met Neil through Zach, as Neil had prepared Zach for the IFBB Pro card, which he won that year, 2009. Yeah, so I met Neil through Zach, and we became good friends. So they decided to put on the Grand Prix. Originally it was going to be in Birmingham at the time, but Zach that year had a severe quad injury, hack squatting, so he tore both his quads, so he was out of the picture. And Neil asked me if I'd be willing to sort of help him promote the British Grand Prix, and obviously it was a massive opportunity for me. So we started, originally it was going to be in Birmingham, like I said, but the other expo show at the time, they put the stop on that, so we had to look for another venue, which made us move to London. We went to find the Excel Centre, and we found the venue. So we had an expo, and we had the pro show, and I think we had the first ever amateur Olympia. This was back in 2011, so it was the 2011 British Grand Prix. So we had about 10 months to obviously promote the show, get sponsors on board, get companies to exhibit. So it was my first ever show putting on. We put on a massive pro show and a massive expo, and it was a very stressful 10 months. But looking back at it, I think this is before social media really took off. There was no Instagram back then. The only thing we had was Facebook, and you got to think there was no men's fitness, men's physique, bikini, classic, none of that. So it was just purely bodybuilding and 202s, we weren't even 212. So we're very limited with the classes. So I think if we would have had the expo now, we would have done a lot better. But being in London, a very expensive town, city, it was expensive to stay there. We did that Grand Prix, and the show was a very good success. We had Branch Warren win the open class. There was Johnny Jackson, there was Rolly Winkler, Tony Freeman, and the 202 class we had Flex Lewis win that, John Hodgson, James Llewellyn. We called it the Battle of the British Beef, and we had a lot of the top British pros come out of retirement just to compete in my show. People like Ian Wadley, Mike King, these are all pro bodybuilders from back in the early 90s all come out from retirement to compete in that show. So that was pretty cool. I even had Francis Benfato contact me into guest posing. So I've not actually seen any footage of that. So if anyone has got any footage of that, please let me know and send it me. But yeah, that was the 2011 British Grand Prix. Then the year later, we joined forces with Body Power at the time, and we held the Sportex, which was in Manchester. So we had an Expo Pro show and the British Finals all in one show, and that was in Manchester. And we had Sean Roden win that, and Flex Lewis win the 212. We had William Bonac in it. We had Anth Bales win the overall that year for the pro card. But yeah, that was 2012, and after that it was I Open Ultimate Fitness. Oh, wow.